Hello friends, how is it going? It's me, Betty Jean. In today's video, I'm doing another ranking. I am ranking all of my Unearthly Cosmetics palettes. Like I mentioned in my recent Nomad Cosmetic ranking, I did these a lot in 2022 and I kind of took a pause in 2023 because it felt like it would be too much too soon, too redundant. I didn't need to do a new brand ranking every time they released one palette. That's unnecessary. But enough time has passed. I feel like a lot of brands have come out with a lot of things. I've done declutters since then, all that good stuff. So I figured now would be a good time to just kind of showcase what I own from each brand and rank the palettes from them. I have 11 palettes here from Unearthly. I love all of these because I did do my full makeup collection and declutter series at the end of last year. So I have very recently done a declutter on all of my palettes, and the ones that I still have are the ones that I love. I truly just vibe with them so wholeheartedly, and it is a little painful to rank them, not gonna lie, just because even the ones on the bottom I love dearly. Like, it was really hard to even pick one for the bottom. Like, how do I do that when you love them so much? But I did it. You're gonna see kind of where my thoughts are, why I like certain things than others, kind of the trajectory Unearthly has had for me, and what my absolute favorites are. I do have an affiliate code with the brand as well. You can use code battybean to shop on their site, and I appreciate it so much if you use it. I can't guarantee every palette I talk about today will be available, but I know at least quite a few of them are. So if any of these pique your interest, you can shop them, or maybe shop your stash for something similar. Maybe there's an older palette from the brand that I have that will inspire you to pull it out. There's all the things, all the options for you. Before we get into the video, I did of course film this look. It should already be up on my YouTube channel by the time this video goes up. It's part of my 2 looks video with the new Unearthly Cosmetics Dreamer palette. And as far as my accessories today, I don't really have a whole lot of jewelry, but this is a Neff brand beanie. This is an old wig off of Amazon, and my nail polish of the day is High Fructose from Mooncat. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop in and rank all 11 Unearthly Cosmetics palettes. Oh my gosh, I'm like even right now questioning myself on if I want the number 11th palette to be this one, because I love it so much, but everything else I do think I love a little bit more, or I'm more likely to reach for it. So I guess it's fair to put this one as number 11, but again, I really like this palette. Otherwise, I would have decluttered it. I have a fondness for it, and it pains me to put it last place, but just compared to the other things I have to talk about, this is just probably the one that I'm least likely to reach for first. Not to say I'm never going to reach for it, because I think it's wonderful, especially for like grungy winter vibes, but something has to be last place, and it's gonna be this one. Number 11 is my In the Dark palette. It's so cool. I really like this. Just this overall vibe. I like the packaging. I like the size. It's just a little 8-pan palette. Looks like this. Such a cool color story. I really like kind of the weird purples with the pop of blue and this grungy, like almost khaki yellow color. We have the 2 like super sparkly shimmers. It's a really weird color story, and I mean that in a very good way. I think it's something super unique. You can do like very kind of oddball things with it, but it's still gonna be kind of like muted and toned down, even though it's still colorful. I think it's a really fun palette. I think it's really cool. It's hard for me to even express why this one is last place. I think it's just truly because you're really only gonna get one vibe with this palette, not necessarily one color because it's not monochromatic, but everything you do with this is going to be dark and smoky grungy, which I absolutely love, but I don't necessarily want every time I do my makeup. So maybe it's just I'm not gonna reach for this one first necessarily, but it's really hard to even say anything bad about this palette because I really genuinely enjoy it. I think it's super pretty. Everything else just sparks a little bit more joy for me. Moving on to number 10, it's going to be my Leather and Lace palette. I really like this leathery looking packaging. It's not like a material, it's just regular packaging, but the look of it is very cute. But we have kind of a gradient smoky autumnal palette. I really like the setup here. Like, we have our columns of like shimmer, light, mid, deep, and then we also have like greens, oranges, plums. It's very fall, very autumnal. I feel like this is a great beginner palette, just in the sense that it's a no-brainer. You're gonna have every color you need to blend out a grungy autumnal look. I love the shimmers that are in here. They're super sparkly, and I just really like the combination of the light and the depth. I feel like there's just a lot you can do with it. You can kind of stick to one column and keep it monochromatic. You can kind of mix and match across the board. I've used this multiple times. I think this is a beautiful palette, and again, it pains me to put it low on this ranking because it's really well done, but everything else just has a color story that kind of speaks to me more, a theme that speaks to me more, what have you. Continuing as we go up the list, like toward the top, there are formulas that are even better than this one, even though this is a great formula. They've just improved so much since coming out with this palette. And even though I still think this is a great palette, they have palettes that are even better than this one. Side note, I have done looks with every single one of these palettes. A lot of the time, multiple looks. You can search between YouTube and my Instagram for different inspo if you want to see any of these in action. I have done many a look with many an Unearthly palette. Moving on to number 9 is a major throwback. Like, this palette is from the days when they were still called Alien Cosmetics before their rebrand. And that's gonna be the collab with Sydney Nicole Adams, the Hauntingly Glamorous palette. It looks like this. Sydney is so pretty. She does such beautiful work over on Instagram. Please go check her out if you haven't, especially if you like spooky vibes. She's your girl for sure. She came out with this beautiful, spooky, hauntingly glamorous, if you will, color story. It's so super fun. It's punchy, it's rich, it's jewel toned and vibrant. I love nothing more than colorful mattes that have a richness and a depth to them. This is so, so, so beautiful. No telling if this is available anymore. I don't know. Again, I'll have the brand linked in my description box so you can check their site out and see if any of these are still available, but this is such a fun palette. There's only 2 shimmers in here, but the way they did the shimmers I think made so much sense because they're more sparkly topper-esque, so you can really use it to be transformative to all of these shades. We do also have a shade here that's like this green matte with sparkle pressed into it. I'll be honest, not my favorite formula just because I feel like the sparkle dusts away into nothing anyways. I'd rather it just be a matte, but there's like a little bit of sparkle in here as well. But it's mostly just a slew of rich, vibrant mattes, the reds, the purples, the blues and greens. It's such a cool, super fun color story, and I've loved this palette for years. I think it's great, but not as great as the next few. Everything else just really speaks to me more. Honestly, all the ones like in the lower half were really hard to rank because they really could have been put in so many different orders, but this is the order I ended up going with, and this is what I'm gonna stick with, and we're gonna move on to number 8. Moving on is the Dead of Night palette in 8th place. This one is so super cool. I love this color story. I love just the smoky, rich, cool toned vibes. I am such a sucker for a blue, green, purple color story. It gets me every time. It's just speaking my language. I love purples, I love greens and teals, I love blues, and this is just a magical work of art of them. We have a mixture of mattes and shimmers in here. We do have that matte with sparkle pressed into it. Would have rathered it just be a matte, but that's neither here nor there. The shimmers are really, really pretty in here, and the mattes are so rich, so like just luxe. Like they just look so rich and pigmented on the lid, and they blend out so beautifully. And I mean, if you're into this kind of color story, you'd really enjoy this palette too. I just love the combination of the different ways the teals and purples and blues all play together. It's a fun time. I love that we have this pop of really, really vibrant green and kind of this mossy green shimmer. We have a couple silvers in here as well. It's very moonlit, grungy vibes, and I am here for it. It's such a cool one. But the next ones I feel like really have just taken things to the next level. Like starting with number 7, the next one. Things just kind of got kicked up a notch. I feel like formulas have improved. Shimmers got better, color stories got even more exciting, and I had no choice but to like keep the top 7. Moving on to number 7, I'm giving it to the Surrender palette. This was in the Valentine's mystery box, I believe last year in 2023. Oh, was it 2022? I think it was 2023. And I also believe this was their first time doing this layout that I'm now obsessed with that they do. This like longer format, smaller pans. This is such a fun color story. I feel like it's a great kind of spicy neutrals. Like we do have neutrals in here, but then lots of other spicy shades. Like we have the reds and the pinks. I love that there's this mustard yellow in here. I feel like that gives it another edge. I like this lavender shimmer. There's such pretty things in here. The shimmers in here are really metallic, really, really pretty. I think all the mattes are just stunning. I really like the vibrancy that everything has. Again, it's like spicy neutrals, like not even neutrals with a twist. It's spicy because it gets a little bit warm. It gets a little bit hotter. It's really fun to play with. I thought this was a great release for last Valentine's season. I think it's super fun, very like romantic, but still with an edge to it. It's a fun one. It's really, really cool. But the other ones speak to my soul more. So let's get into them. Moving on to number 6 is going to be the Don't Be Jelly palette. And I guess this one is technically in the middle because there's 11 palettes. There's 5 beneath this one, 5 above it. So this is the exact middle of the ranking. It's the Don't Be Jelly Remastered. They did do an original Don't Be Jelly back in the day. It was like a 9-pan all shimmer palette. Honestly, this is so drastically different from that. I honestly feel like they should have just gone for a different name entirely because it's not even like a new and improved tweaked version of the original Don't Be Jelly. It's like a completely different palette, but I love this palette. I think it's so cool. It's beautiful. Again, we have this format that I really, really like from the brand. It has the longer like palette with the smaller pans. It's so, so pretty. Like this is absolutely by far my favorite format they do. This palette specifically, I feel like their shimmers started going to another level. They are so ultra sparkly, so wet looking. These colors are so pretty. I love the richness. It very much feels like colorful underwater kind of energy. It's really, really pretty. I love the different blues with the different purples and the greens. Again, I love a blue, green, purple color story. I really like this pop of warmth in here as well. I think this is really pretty, and I love this really dark kind of blackened purple. It's so, so cool. There's so much you can do with this one. Again, the shimmers are just unreal. Like once they started with this palette, because I believe this is the second palette they released with this format after the Surrender. I could be wrong timeline wise, but I think it was. And this is where their shimmers got ultra good. They have just like never been better ever since they like made this switch. And I really hope they stay this way because they truly just keep getting better and better. I love to see it. This is so, so beautiful, and I cannot get enough of it. It's gorgeous. And now we are officially on to my top 5 of Unearthly currently. These top 5 palettes are just absolutely insane. They are so good. The themes are cool. The formulas are amazing, and I hold them so near and dear to my heart. And just like the Nomad video, I would like you to pause here and leave what you think my top 3 are. It's been narrowed down quite a bit at this point, but now that we're at the top 5, I want you to try to guess what my top 3 are. Feel free to put them in order if you'd like, but I'm just curious if you will be in the ballpark of what my top 3 are. Did you do it? Okay. Let's move on to the 5. Number 5 is my Resurgence palette. This was the collaboration with Heather Austin. Heather is so sweet. I've met her a couple times now in person, and she is such an absolute delight. She is such an angel of a human being, so kind, just such a wonderful person. Like she's just one of those people you just can feel the good energy coming off of. And I am so glad she got to do this collab with Unearthly. She absolutely killed it. It's such a cool theme. Like this packaging's amazing. The like beetles, it's all metallic and luminescent. And then the inside of this is unreal. Look how pretty this is. It is so gorgeous. It's such a weirdly wonderful color story. It's grungy and dark, but there's these brilliant pops of neon. And like, I love the primary red and the primary blue with the like neon green and the neon fuchsia. It's such a cool combination. We do have a black with sparkle pressed in. Again, not my favorite just because I feel like the sparkle dusts away and it ends up just being a matte black anyways. But the shimmers in here are so unbelievable. They are so sparkly and shifty on the lids, and I feel like she managed to do a super colorful palette that isn't intimidating to like maybe someone who's newer to makeup or is just kind of stepping into it and is more comfortable in the neutral side. Like this is such a good palette you could pull from for just a couple shades, or you could play with some of these shimmers that lean a little bit more neutral but add just a little pop of something here and there, or you can be like me and just slather all the colors all over your face. It would be such a good time. But yeah, this palette is so cool. I think both of them together did such an amazing job with this. The lip gloss they came out with this collection as well, I believe it's called Omen, is one of my top glosses of all time. They just absolutely killed it with this collection. I'm so proud of Heather, and I'm so happy and honored to put this in my top 5 of Unearthly. Moving on to number 4, this is actually a palette that was my number 1 favorite from the brand for a long, long time, but it has since been dethroned. Not even once or twice, but 3 times, because it's now in 4th place. And I still love it dearly, but the top 3 palettes just are on another level of good that I had no choice but to put them in the top 3. But I still love this one so, so dearly. So I did want to keep this one in the 4th spot. The color story speaks to me. The whole energy speaks to me. It's a really cool palette, and I'm still in love with it. It's the Not Normal palette. It's so super cool. The girl on the cover is so cute, and the inside looks like this. I actually have a newer version. The brand sent me a newer version, I think last year. It's the exact same thing as before. It's just smaller. It used to be bigger, like the Dead of Night and the Sydney Nicole Adams one. This is just like a smaller, more condensed one with smaller pans. It's beautiful. The mattes are amazing. The shimmers are super metallic, super pretty. Gemini is such a good shade. It also works beautifully as a face highlight. I just love this color story. It's grungy Beetlejuice vibes completely. I love seeing purple and green together, and I love the pops of yellow. It's grungy and weird and colorful and just so cool. I've gotten so much joy out of this color story and out of this palette. Again, this one doesn't look super used because it is fairly new, but my old one I used quite a bit, and I still freaking love it. I think it's so cool. Honestly, if they hadn't like just continued to blow it out of the water lately with their formulas, I could have seen this staying in first place, but the top three formula-wise are just out of this world unreal. The color stories are amazing too, don't get me wrong, but just the combination of newer color stories with fantastic, unbeatable formulas, that's kind of what dethroned this a little bit, but I still love this so much. I cherish it deeply, and I'm happy to put it in my 4th spot. But let's move on now to the top 3. Number 3 is actually what I'm wearing today. It's the new Dreamer palette. They did like a little kind of winter box situation back in December with the Dreamer palette. I believe this palette is sold separately now. Again, I'll have the website linked down below for you. But it looks like this. This packaging is so cool. I think she looks so pretty. I love her extra eyeballs. She sees it all. And the inside is just magical. Like, are you kidding me? The shimmers in here are insane. I mean, my lids, they're so smooth and sparkly. That inner corner highlights, I absolutely cannot. This is such a good combination of grungy and glamorous. It's sultry and smoky. It's purple pink, kind of neutrals with a twist, but definitely leaning on the rosy pinky purple side. I love this. I'm very much into like smoky blues and purples right now, and this is scratching an itch in my brain, and it's so good. It's just beautiful. Again, I love this format. Loving the long rectangle with the small pans. It's such a perfect, I feel like, curated size of a palette. The shimmers and mattes are amazing in here. I really like the kind of, in a gradient, but kind of opposite, like matte shimmer. It's really appealing to the eye. I feel like it's really easy to create looks with this formula, especially if you're a beginner, because you can easily like just see little quads and just kind of create a color story with that. You could even just do like a quick like 2 eyeshadow look, like 1 matte, 1 shimmer. There is so much you can do with this palette. It's beautiful, it's romantic, it's sparkly and amazing, and I am head over heels in love with it. It's so beautiful. But the top 2, it's gonna be really hard for the brand to ever beat these top 2 because they are just that good. They just came swinging with the amazing formulas and the amazing color stories, and I am just in love with them. Number 2 is going to be the Fall Magic Remastered. They did have a Fall Magic back in the day. I never owned that palette, but they did recently revamp the Fall Magic. And unlike the Don't Be Jelly revamp, I feel like this is actually a true revamp because it's kind of playing along the same energy as the original Fall Magic, but making it so much better. And again, I don't have the original, so I can't say for sure, like if you have the original, you should get the new one. But I'm just gonna tell you, I love the new one. It's insane. Again, it's that format that I'm loving, that long rectangle. And again, the formulas in here are just insane. They are so sparkly with these shimmers. Like the level of sparkle that these have is amazing. And it's just so smooth on the lid. Like it's not a chunky sparkle. It's such a smooth, vibrant, magical sparkle. And these mattes are so cool. I mean, if you know me at all, you know I love grungy autumnal vibes, and that is what this is. I love the combination of the classic like autumnal energy with this pop of pink. This pop of pink, I swear, takes it to another level. It gives it such a unique twist than a typical like fall palette. And these shimmers, again, they're just so pretty. We have the gradient order again, but instead of it being zigzagged, it's just matte and then shimmer, which I still think looks really good. And again, really easy to dissect and create looks out of if you're new to makeup. Like you can easily, again, just eyeball it based on these little quads. You can mix and match. You could do just a simple like green, yellow, orange, pink. Like you could just keep it monochromatic. There is so much you can do with this. I am head over heels in love with it. I think this is such a beautiful palette. It's so good. But the number 1 palette, I feel like this palette just came out of nowhere. It just crept into my life it became my favorite. Like I didn't even have a choice. It just entered my life and said, I'm your new favorite now. I ranked this palette specifically very, very highly in my yearly 2023 ranking of all the palettes I tried last year. So if you want to check out that ranking, you can. This palette is so good. I have a really hard time believing Unearthly is ever going to dethrone this one for me. They did the damn thing with this palette, I just have to say. It is the Sorceress Smoke. This is stunning. It is everything that I needed and didn't know I needed. Looks like this. Again, we have that rectangle that I love. We have the zigzaggy gradient format. We have the most special shimmers. Again, so sparkly, so shifty and beautiful and smooth on the lid. It's magical. I love these colors. This is very much grungy neutrals with a twist. And even though I'm not typically someone that cares about neutrals, this is what I want when it comes to neutrals. I love the cool tone browns, and the shimmers all have something super special about them. Like I even like that we have kind of this grayish purple situation over here. Just a little bit of pop of like cool tone neutral. And then we're into like the orange, the peach, and then these greens. Oh, it's just so pretty. These grungy greens, these super sparkly shimmers. It is absolutely everything. I can't explain it. It's so, I feel like at first glance, this palette can be so unassuming, but when you really dive into it, it is so special. I feel beautiful when I wear this. I feel like it is just a gorgeous, beautiful palette, but with a grungy, edgy twist. It is such a cool palette, and I'm so happy to own this, and I'm so thrilled to put this in first place because I feel like it definitely deserves it. It is such a wonderful palette. They killed it. I'm so excited about it, and I'm honestly just in a place right now where I'm so excited to see everything they have cooking for the future because they are on such a good trajectory right now between the Fall Magic, the Sorceress Smoke, the Dreamer. They have done such great things the last 3 launches, and I'm really, really excited to see where they go from here. And that about wraps it up for my Unearthly palette ranking. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helped you if you were trying to maybe make some decisions or just wanted some inspiration to pull something out of your collection. These 11 palettes are such a solid lineup of palettes, and I feel like everything truly just gets better and better as time goes on for this brand. I'm really excited to see what they continue to do. They are doing great things, and I'm really excited to see what's next. I would love to hear your thoughts though. Do you have any of these? Do you want any of these? What is your favorite palette from Unearthly? And if you have more than one, feel free to rank all of yours. If you made it to the end of this video, you know, figure out what your favorite palette from the brand is, whether it's something I have or something I don't have, and leave some emojis that represent that palette. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot. If you're not already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm battybean there as well. You can also subscribe. I'm posting most days over here. You can also join my channel memberships. Link to sign up will be down below. You'll get fun little perks, including a members only video once a month. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye. Because everything else might have just Kanade. Do you need something? Is this your favorite palette?